Contrary to all expectations, Michael Jordan was not the greatest player from the very beginning. He didn't even make the basketball team in high school. In his senior year, he dreamed of making the varsity squad, but the coach turned him down. It was this rejection that deeply shaped Michael Jordan's mindset. He didn't see it as a failure, he saw it as motivation, and started training far harder. He began working on every aspect of his game: his shot, physical conditioning, speed, and endurance. He was determined to prove the coaches wrong. It was this very failure that forged Jordan's core principle: every setback is the beginning of growth. Michael was obsessed with winning and always wanted to be better. Jordan grew up in a family where everyone was constantly competing. He was always rivaling his brothers in something. This mindset followed him throughout his entire career. For him, there were no ordinary losses. Every defeat was treated as a personal insult. Jordan was obsessed with results and never settled for what he had achieved. Many talented athletes weren't willing to give everything for a win. But Jordan was completely different. He was hungry for victory. Even after becoming one of the best players in the world, he never stopped training. He proved to everyone, and to himself first of all, that he deserved to be called great. After graduating from high school, Michael Jordan enrolled at the University of North Carolina. Despite the fierce competition, the coaches trusted him and put him on the team. Already in his freshman year, they reached the NCAA finals. In the championship game against Georgetown, Jordan took responsibility for the decisive shot. He made it, won the game, won the match, and brought his team the college title. This moment completely changed Michael Jordan's life. It split his life into before and after. The entire country witnessed it, and that's when the image of an athlete who, even at a young age, was ready to take charge in the biggest moments and fear nothing began to take shape. Jordan himself admitted that this shot changed how he saw himself. This moment became the launchpad toward the status of the greatest player of all time and toward the NBA. In the early 1980s, Nike wasn't considered the top brand in basketball. Most professional players wanted to sign deals with more established and popular companies of the time. But Nike saw incredible potential in Jordan. Right at the start of his career, when he was still a rookie, the company offered him an unusual contract. They proposed creating his own brand, Air Jordan. This caused a real explosion in the sports footwear industry and became a true revolution. For the first time, a brand built its entire marketing strategy around one young player. Jordan didn't just change basketball with his play. He changed the approach to sports marketing, the attitude toward brands in sports goods. Millions of people started buying shoes not just for sports, but for status. Michael Jordan's incredible rise happened right in his first NBA season. From the very first games, he showed he was an extraordinarily electrifying player. His style of play was defined by speed, athleticism, spectacle, and dynamism. He outclassed many players at his level. In his rookie season, Michael Jordan won the Rookie of the Year award. Thanks to this, his popularity began to grow even faster. Jordan regularly put up high-scoring games, but for a rookie in those years, it was simply unheard of. In the 1986 playoffs, Jordan scored 63 points in a game against Boston, setting the all-time playoff scoring record at that time. Despite individual accolades, Jordan couldn't become a champion for a long time. Although every season he confirmed his status as one of the league's best players, team success kept slipping away. His main obstacles became the Detroit Pistons, one of the toughest and most physical teams in the NBA. They understood that stopping Jordan with regular defense was impossible. So they developed a defensive system specifically against him, known as the Jordan rules. Opponents constantly applied physical pressure and did everything they could to limit his impact on the game. Years of painful defeats. For several years in a row, Jordan lost to the Pistons in the playoffs. They became the biggest obstacle and the heaviest disappointment of his career. The main question became, if Jordan is truly the greatest player, why can't he become a champion? Why isn't his individual talent enough to win? It was exactly these losses that forced him to change. He became physically stronger, started trusting his team more, and understood that winning a championship alone was impossible. By the late 1980s, Michael was considered one of the best players in the world. He regularly led the league in scoring, averaging over 30 points per game. But he couldn't get past the Detroit Pistons in the playoffs. Every time it seemed the path to the finals was open, his team suffered defeat. Michael Jordan thought it all depended on him. If the team lost, it meant he had to take more shots and score even more points. But his thinking was changed by Phil Jackson. In 1989, Phil Jackson became the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. He saw the problem differently. Jackson completely changed the team's offensive system and introduced the famous triangle offense. The idea behind this system was that Jordan wouldn't take every attack. Instead, the whole team had to constantly move the ball, look for passing options, involve every player in the offense, and find better shots. The 1990-91 season became the culmination of this transformation. For the first time in years, the Chicago Bulls looked not like a one-man team, but like a true collective, a well-oiled machine. Standing in the way of the title was Jordan's biggest nightmare, the Detroit Pistons. For several years running, this team had knocked the Chicago Bulls out of the playoffs and left them with not a single chance to fight for a championship ring. In the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals, everything was different. The Chicago Bulls no longer depended on one player. They didn't depend solely on Michael Jordan and whether his game was on or off. The team depended on all its players. The Chicago Bulls played with confidence and organization, like a well-oiled machine. And in the end, the Bulls swept the series 4-0. This wasn't just a win, it was a demolition. A clean sweep of the team that had stopped Jordan on the road to a championship for several years straight. After defeating the Detroit Pistons, the path to the title was open for Chicago. On June 12, 1991, the Chicago Bulls became NBA champions for the first time in the club's history. For Jordan, this was the culmination of years of struggle. For several years, he couldn't get past the Detroit Pistons, but finally overcoming his greatest rival, he immediately captured the championship title. This moment left a deep mark on Michael Jordan's consciousness. He realized that to become the greatest player, it's not enough to be the best yourself. You have to learn how to make everyone around you better. After the first championship, the era of Chicago Bulls domination begins. They win title after title in 1991, 1992, and 1993. 3 championships in a row. Jordan and the Chicago Bulls are at the peak of glory. It seems impossible to stop them. But then a terrible tragedy strikes Michael Jordan's life. On July 23, 1993, Michael's father, James Jordan, disappears. After some time, he is found murdered. For Michael, this becomes the hardest event in his life. His father wasn't just a relative to him. He was the main mentor, the most devoted fan, and the person who had supported Michael since childhood. After this loss, Jordan lost all motivation. The man who had lived for victories for years lost his inner fire and the core that had driven him forward. He became emotionally hollow. And in the fall of 1993, Jordan announced the end of his career. After leaving basketball in 1993, Michael Jordan started a career in baseball. People couldn't understand how the best basketball player on the planet would walk away at his peak, turn down millions of dollars, incredible contracts, and swap the NBA for baseball. The world waited for his return. The Chicago Bulls kept playing, but without him, the team was never the same. The biggest gear had been removed from the main mechanism. The team no longer looked as strong and confident as before. But on March 18, 1995, an event occurred that entered the history of sports. Journalists received a short message. "I'm back." Just 2 words. No explanations, no comments, no interviews. These 2 words instantly became a sensation. Michael Jordan was returning. In the 1995 season, the Bulls were eliminated in the playoffs, but this defeat taught Jordan an important lesson. He realized that the 2-year break hadn't gone unnoticed, and that he still had to get back into form. In the summer of 1995, Jordan returned to his usual routine. He started training with the same obsession, the same fire inside. More than that, this obsession became even stronger. After a long break, he hungered for victory even more. But now, Jordan wasn't alone. Now he had a team, a great coach, and a perfect mechanism that worked flawlessly as one unit. The Chicago Bulls had assembled a legendary trio that complemented each other perfectly. Michael Jordan scored points, served as the team's main scorer and leader. Scottie Pippen, a versatile player, equally useful on both defense and offense. And Dennis Rodman controlled the rebounds and did an enormous amount of dirty work. The three of them looked virtually unbeatable. The 1995-96 season became historic. The Chicago Bulls won 72 games out of 82 in the regular season. At that time, it was the best record in NBA history. No team had ever achieved such numbers before. The team became incredibly strong with a renewed Michael Jordan. They dominated in every aspect of the game, both defense and offense. They had virtually no weaknesses. Jordan reached a new peak. He won the regular season MVP, Finals MVP, and captured his fourth championship. The 1997 NBA Finals. The Chicago Bulls faced the Utah Jazz. The series turned out to be incredibly tense. Before Game 5, the score became critically important. This win was needed by the Chicago Bulls like never before. A few hours before the game, something strange happened to Michael Jordan. He felt terrible. Severe weakness, dehydration, high fever. Any player in such a condition would most likely have sat out the game. But Jordan isn't like that. He has a completely different mentality and a different attitude toward the game. During the game, it was clear he was moving slower than usual, looking exhausted and dehydrated, constantly fighting fatigue. But despite all of it, he scored 38 points and helped his team secure a crucial victory. After the final buzzer, strength completely left Michael Jordan. It's one of the most famous frames in basketball history. After the final whistle, Michael Jordan, utterly spent, collapsed onto Scottie Pippen's shoulder. The 1997-98 season played out under constant pressure. Inside the Chicago Bulls, everyone understood the team was aging and everything would soon change. In the NBA Finals, the Chicago Bulls faced the Utah Jazz. The series turned out to be extremely tough and tense. Game 6 took place in Salt Lake City. A win meant a championship. A loss meant the series would go to a Game 7. In the final minutes of the game, there were only seconds left. The Chicago Bulls trailed by 1 point. The ball was in the hands of the home team. But first, Jordan did what everyone expected from him the least. Jordan had always been associated primarily with scoring and flashy offensive plays. But in this moment, he went on defense. No shot, no drive, no spectacular dunk. Instead, Jordan made the most crucial steal. It was an incredibly needed and willful moment from a player who was first and foremost perceived as an offensive superstar. Final possession. The ball was with the Chicago Bulls. Everyone understood what was coming next. The crowd understood, the commentators understood, the Utah Jazz players understood. Everyone knew who would take the final shot. And then Jordan stepped forward. A Utah Jazz defender found himself in front of him. Michael made a sharp stop, the defender lost his balance, and Jordan pulled up from mid-range. The ball arced toward the basket. Swish! The Chicago Bulls took the lead. Soon the final buzzer sounded. 6th title in 8 years. 2nd three-peat in a row. The end of an era. The moment that turned Michael Jordan into sports immortality and permanently cemented his status as one of the greatest players of all time.